Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. I'm on a bit of a more somber tone today. In light of the events that transpired this last weekend with George Floyd in yes. And it really is a disturbing situation. Before we get into the topic, which is related, I would just like to say this. The death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, the officer in question, whose name I will not repeat, because it is a name that does not deserve to be remembered, other than as a criminal, showed that this officer showed a reckless disregard for the value of human life and the value of human dignity. This cannot be denied. The initial reports that the police gave claimed that George Floyd was resisting arrest. A video that was taken clearly showed that he was not. So not only did the police lie about it, but his death was completely unnecessary. No death is ever necessary. But there was nothing that George Floyd did or was doing worthy of death. Nothing that can be construed as violent. It's not like he had a gun or a weapon and was being dangerous to the police or dangerous to others. So, the situation is terrible. People have the right to be angry. People have the right to protest. Now, some of the more violent rioting, I do not believe to be necessary. But people have the right to protest, the right to fight back. Fight back in a peaceful way. And more than this, people have the right to stand for truth and justice. Okay. That being said, let us talk about how this, in the world of Star Wars, what can we say that has any bearing on this horrendous tragedy? Well, diversity. Film is one of the great art forms because, as the critic Roger Ebert said, it creates and generates empathy. Glenn Close, when she won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actress for The Wife 2 years ago, she spoke about the power of film being, as she put it, two eyes looking into two eyes. Meaning, we see the people on screen. and we empathize with them. We establish a connection with them. And we understand that person. Even if that person is of a different race, a different religion, a different sexual orientation, a different lifestyle, we can create empathy. And we connect with that person. That is why, in my opinion, diversity on film is so important. That we see these characters and we connect with them, we empathize with them. Let me give you an example. Stormtrooper FN-2187 is renamed Finn by Poe Dameron. John Boyega appears on screen as a hero. A hero not written specifically to be black. But the fact that he is black and looks different, or at least in my case, looks very different from me. I see him. And I connect with him. Even though Star Wars is a ridiculous space fantasy set in a galaxy far, far away, full of samurai wizards and giant hairy co-pilots. At its core, it's a human drama. And we empathize with these people who maybe look nothing like us. Finn is a great example of a character that we empathize with. And that is why I think diversity is so important in cinema. Behind the camera and in front of the camera. And there are powerful movies out there that tell us a story from a different perspective. From our own. And we can see that person on screen. And we can see the humanity in them. Maybe, just maybe, we can go out into the world and see the humanity in our brothers and sisters that we meet, no matter what they look like or how they choose to live. So those are my thoughts on why diversity is important. We're going to take a short break to hear about our sponsor. And when we come back, we're going to discuss why movies are so important right now. Hello there, this is Brennan Marr, host of Page Turners They Were Not, a Star Wars podcast. And I'm here to tell you about Anchor. Anchor is the best way to make a podcast. Why is that? Well, first off, it's free. Yes, you heard me right. Anchor is free. Anchor has all the tools you need to make a podcast. From your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you on various platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can make money from your podcast. And get this, with no minimum listenership. That means you can make money even if no one listens to your podcast. That, of course, is not ideal, as Anchor will allow you to spread your podcast, bring in more viewers, and you can make more money because of it. Everything you need to make a podcast is in one place on Anchor. If you're interested, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you, and may the force be with you. Okay, my friends, that was a word about our sponsor. In our troubled times, we may be tempted to ask, why are movies important? We see the troubles going on in the world. We see the protests. We see the riots. We see the brutality. We see wars. We see politicians causing trouble. We see all kinds of troubles. Earthquakes, hurricanes. And we may be tempted to say, why do movies matter when they're just make-believe? Well, not only, as I mentioned earlier, does it help us empathize with other human beings, but movies can help us to understand what's going on in the world. Movies can do many things. Yes, they can provide escapism, but they can inspire us to be better. They can make us think about serious issues. They can inform us as to the plights of other people. It can tell us the stories of those whose lives are such a mess that it inspires us to go out and help. Movies can inform us about important events, like Schindler's List informing us about the Holocaust. But movies, at their core, provide us with insights into the lives of other people. And if, as I said, we can connect with them on screen, maybe we can go out into the world and connect with them in real life. Maybe movies can also help us change our minds about things. For instance, Hilary Swank, when she appeared on Inside the Actors Studio, was discussing her Oscar-winning film, Boys Don't Cry, where she played a transgendered character. Hilary Swank expressed that she really hoped that somebody out there might see this movie. Someone who had unkind or prejudiced feelings against transgendered people. And maybe by seeing this movie, that person, their mind might be changed to see transgendered people as people. That was her hope, that her movie could inspire someone to change their mind and be more loving and accepting of those who are different. I absolutely agree with her. That is what film should do. And that is what film does at its best. And that is why movies whether they be fictional or based on true stories. That is why they matter. Because they help us see other people as people. And if we see them as people, then maybe maybe we can put aside our hate and our prejudices and embrace each other as our brothers and sisters. Now, and those are my thoughts. Now, to conclude this episode, I leave you with this. This is what I shared on my Twitter and on my Facebook yesterday. This is a quote from the 1961 film Judgment at Nuremberg. When the judge, played by Spencer Tracy, is delivering his final verdict, here is what he says. Quote, "This is what we stand for. Justice, truth, and the value of a single human being." Close quote. Black lives matter. Thank you for tuning in. See you later.